of the world, now I'm living. And the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah.
Hey there, it's Ann Perry, and this is February of 2017 as I'm recording this video, and that means that we're just 1 week away from Valentine's Day. Now, I know not everybody has a Valentine. It's not even a happy time for a lot of you out there, but many of you have written to me saying, how do I know who's the right person for me? I'm going to teach you a little secret weapon today that's going to help you to learn very quickly what a person is all about, and all you need to know is their first name. So today we're going to be talking about what does the first vowel in your first name say about you. Okay, so are you a little bit curious? All right, let's go. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at the Pythagorean alphabet just to kind of get you guys all on board here. So if you're not familiar with it, in numerology, when we're examining somebody's birth name, we assign numeric value to each one of the letters in the name. So this is how it goes. So for example, A, J, and S, they all vibrate at the energy of the number 1. B, K, and T vibrate at the energy of the 2, and so on and so forth. So for today, we're simply going to be looking at the vowels, because what we're going to be asking ourselves is, this person that I'm kind of curious about, this person that I just met in a bar, this person who I know nothing about, don't even know their date of birth, I just know their first name, all you need to know is the first vowel of their first name. The first vowel, not the second or the third, but the first vowel of their first name, okay? So obviously the vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. And we're also going to be looking at the Y because numerologists also observe the Y as a vowel as well. So I'll explain a little bit more of that in a little bit. Okay, so here we go. The letter A is what we're going to start with, and I find this really kind of an intriguing one because of course my name is Ann and my first vowel of my first name is A, and boy, there's just nothing in here that doesn't ring true for me. So the A vibrates with the energy of the number 1. This is somebody who's very impulsive, very creative, very much the pioneer, the go-getter, you know, very driven kind of person. They're very hardworking and they do have a need to be acknowledged. So thanks for all the nice comments on YouTube, because boy, that keeps me motivated to keep doing this stuff. We like positive feedback for sure. There's no question. We thrive on it. The person with the first vowel of the A in their name will often work harder, and they'll be a lot more accountable to someone outside of themselves. Okay, so they make a really good employee, of course. They want to make a difference while they're here. They really want to leave a footprint. They want to leave an impact. They've got a drive to be very independent. You know, the number 1, when you think of the number 1, it stands alone, okay? It stands alone, it's independent and wants to be driven and very much the leader. They've got drive to be original and number 1 at everything we do. They're a seeker of truth and a seeker of wisdom, so we like to study. And they may have an excessive need for perfectionism. Okay. Guilty as charged. And we might berate ourselves if we fail at something. We really are very hard on ourselves, harder than anybody else would be because we hold the bar way too hard. And while we might ask for feedback, we can be very sensitive to criticism. So be nice when you're sending your comments, okay? I'm just kidding. All right. The next letter is E, the next vowel. So the E says that it vibrates at the energy of the number 5, okay? And this says that you tend to respond to your world with enthusiasm, energy, and excitement. Shake it up, make it different. Your goal is always to maintain your sense of freedom. It's really hard to tie down somebody with the first vowel of E in their first name. So if you're looking for long-term commitment, the ones with the E, they might have a hard time. Like you have to understand that this person is going to need a lot of freedom in the relationship. So if you're somebody who, for example, maybe your life path numbers are 2, and you really need somebody as a partner in your life, maybe not, you know, because this guy's really going to need, or this gal is really going to need their freedom. They might react quickly, but don't underestimate their instinctive and intuitive abilities. They're very, very intuitive people. They thrive on change. Like I said, shake it up, make it different. They're not a 9-to-5 kind of person. They have to have jobs that allow them to experience life differently every single day. They're very likable. They have an interest in trying pretty much anything. If you say, let's go bungee cord jumping, they're going to be like, when and where? You know, I'll sign up for it right now. They have a very sensual appetite for life, so they like to try different ethnic foods, different types of wines, different types of beers, you know, different experiences. They're pretty much up for anything. They're very fun people to be with. They love good food. They can also suffer from addictions. Red flag, watch out for this, okay? I can't tell you how many people I've said, well, if you don't know their date of birth, just tell me the first vowel of their first name. And I'm like, "Ooh, okay, let's just be a little careful here." Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody has addictions who has the first letter E as the vowel in their name, but the E does have a tendency to be addictive. Now, this could be addicted to drugs, it could be food, alcohol, it could be bingo, scratch tickets, addicted to spending time with their grandchildren. You know, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but they do have a compulsive addictive tendency. And they can easily become emotionally drained by other people. So they're really high flying, high wire kind of people, but sometimes they get tired very easily too. Okay, the I is our next vowel that we're going to look at. So the I vibrates to the energy of the number 9. So these are the people that are, they act like very old souls. They have very old soulful energy. You just feel like they're just like comfortable old shoes to be with, okay? They're very much the humanitarian with very global interests, okay? They're typically interested in politics and global affairs, anything to do with the environment. They're very charitably minded. They have a really hard time watching any shows on TV that say save the children or save the animals or save anything, because they just want to save the world, okay? But they really are the solution finders, right? I call them the fixers, but maybe that sounds a little negative. So let's talk about them as being the people who really enjoy finding solutions to things. They have patience like nobody else. Like, it's just crazy what they can put up with. They really have to be pushed very, very, very hard to lose their cool. They approach everything with responsibility and compassion. They treat everybody like family. So they've got a great memory like an elephant. Boys, oh boys, if you cross them, they'll never forget it. Okay, so just remember that 9 sometimes can come with baggage and trust issues, because if they've been crossed, they don't forget the fact that they've been crossed. So if you're looking to entertain life with a 9, you want to, just remember that. They've got lessons around letting go, lessons around forgiveness, not only of other people, but also of themselves. So if they've let themselves down, they have a hard time releasing themselves from that. And they often experience challenges with their family. They have a sense of responsibility for them, which is great, but sometimes it can be a little obsessive. And they often feel guilty where no guilt is necessary at all. It's just they feel like they want to fix everything. They just want everything to be right. They have vision. These guys are visionaries, right? They see the big picture, so they always try to come up with positive solutions. They tend to be very positive people. And they do best when they're outside, when they're in nature, plugging into the woods. They're good if they have a dog to take them out to head out in the woods, and be around water is a really good thing for them as well. Okay, the vibration of the O, okay, the letter O vibrates to the energy of the number 6. So this is somebody who is here to make a point. This is a very compassionate person, somebody who's very nurturing, okay? They can appear to be very humble, and yet at the same time they can be extremely strong-willed. Sometimes it's their way or the highway. They get a bee in their bonnet, and that's it. That's all there is, right? They can be very independent, yet they can be very codependent as well, so they can go either way. They can be very self-righteous at times, particularly as it comes to the family. They can be very judgmental about, if they feel that maybe on some level they're not living up to what they feel they should with regards to the responsibility of the family. So for example, someone who lives far away from their family might judge the people who are there close to the family, because they do it so much better if they were there, kind of thing. But they're just feeling badly because they can't be there, so they're trying to build themselves up because they're feeling a little insufficient. So they tend to kind of poke at the people who are there. Okay. They are protective of their friends and their family with a huge need to be of service to other people. These people typically will have jobs that are of service to other people, and if they don't, they're probably miserable. So heads up, if you know their first name and what job they do, you can kind of put those two together. They can become very annoyed when others make demands of them, especially when people don't listen to them, because they like to be the authority on everything, right? If you take their advice, everything's good, but if you don't take their advice, it can be difficult. Those gals that are looking to hook up with guys, understand one thing, that a guy whose first vowel is an O in their first name, they're likely going to put their mothers ahead of everybody else. So, if something happens to you and you're having a bit of a crisis and his mother calls, he's going out for his mother, okay? He will throw himself in front of a bus for his mom. He's very much about his family. They benefit from taking time to find solutions rather than jumping into rescue. Okay, so sixes notoriously want to jump in and rescue everybody. They want to be the ones that they're very, very responsible, and they just feel that they have to take care of their kids and take care of their moms, take care of their dads and all that. So they take on all this crazy amount of responsibility, and then they become martyrs sometimes because they've overdone it and they've taken on more than they really should have. The best place for them to be is when they're in leading positions, when they're able to be in leadership positions, taking care of other people. They don't like to be followers, they like to be leaders. Okay, these are the ones that are in charge of the home and school association. So if that sort of thing is important to you, these make great partners. And they have lessons to learn about establishing balance in their lives. So you know the O vibrates at the energy of the 6. So when you look at that number 6, remember the 6 has that round bottom to it, okay? Which reminds us that the 6 energy is always like this. They've always got all the balls up in the air. They're very busy people because they feel they have to be responsible for everything, right? The world will just collapse if they don't jump in to rescue people and to help people and to help out with home and school and the soccer team and the hockey team and all that stuff. So they're very busy, responsible people, particularly to their families. Okay, the U vibrates at the energy of the number 3. Okay, so their tendency is to respond to the world with a sense of humor. These are really fun people. Great communicators. They can write, they can speak, they can sing. They need to just find their voices, right? They're just amazing communicators. They're often the people who are seeking spiritual enlightenment, and they respond to life with energy and spontaneity. Like they're just very social people, and they can be very flexible, very adaptable, right? They can kind of roll with everything. They're kind of like the 5s in that respect. Extremely creative. They need to find ways to express themselves, or they feel very stumped in life. You know, they just feel stuck and unable to move forward if they're not allowing themselves to be creative. They're very lively storytellers. I have no idea why my mother's first name didn't have a U as the first vowel, because if there's anybody who could tell a story, it was my mother. But they're lively storytellers, and they'll often embellish the details just a little bit to make it a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more interesting. So they are meant to be on stage. These are the actors, the performers, the comedians, that's all that. They're led by their emotions. They tend to be very emotional people, but they don't often know how to manage their emotions immediately, and so sometimes they can get very explosive, okay? Sometimes they can kind of fly off the handle a little quickly. They've got a lot of creative ideas that they're always downloading all the time, right? So sometimes they're not particularly focused because it's kind of like, oh, there's another idea, right? Oh, okay, well, I could do, all right, just a sec. Yeah, all right. You know, it's just like they're everywhere, right? They're all over the place. They just love life, right? They're always on the alert for something new and something different. So its creative potential is there, and they're on constant download for the information and the ideas. Okay, the Y is kind of an interesting letter, because if it's the first vowel used in numerology, we observe it as the first vowel. So in the case of the name Yvonne, for example, that would be a Y and a vowel. Or the name Lynn makes kind of that I sound, or Wyman makes that I sound. So that's when we would use it as a vowel. So this is a letter that vibrates to the vibration of the number 7. So you'll find people with this letter are typically people who are very analytical. They're very spiritual in nature. You'll find that they're probably not very religious. They'd be more kind of spiritual. They often overthink things. They tend to, well, they go to the energy of the 7, which says they overthink things. And so there's a lot of self-doubt that comes with somebody with this letter. They're very, very intuitive, and they need to work on trusting their intuition and just trusting that life will roll out just as it's planned and in perfect divine perfection, if we just trust that it will. They're very sensitive, especially to criticism. And they wound very deeply because they often have difficulty expressing their emotions. They're very within, you know, they're very introspective, very reflective people, often kind of quiet people. And they require a lot of time and a lot of space alone. So if you're somebody that needs to have somebody around all the time, for example, if your life path number is a 2, somebody with the first vowel of a Y might be a little bit challenging for you, okay? Because they do need a lot of time by themselves. They trust most people, but they have difficulty trusting themselves at times. Okay, so an interesting note, as we're talking about partnerships and potential partners and relationships and finding the love of your life, when you're looking numerologically, if you know what their life path number is, for example, if somebody is a 2 is an even number, okay? So any life path number that has an even number to it is likely going to be compatible. Likewise, any of the odd numbers are also likely going to be compatible. Where you run into trouble is when you try to take an odd number and a even number. You take an odd number and an even number, try to put those two together, you usually have some challenges there. So that's it. I'm really glad you tuned in today, and I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, you know what to do. Post them down below. I am AnnPerryNumerologist.com. I do have a newsletter on my website, which I don't send out that often, so I won't be bothering you very often. But if you want to know what's going on, I'd love it if you'd sign up. Also have a Facebook page. I post on it every single day something about numerology. So if you're a numerology keener, as I hope that you are, then maybe you want to follow me on Facebook. And I sure would appreciate it and love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I've got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. I'm going to be teaching classes online very shortly. If you're interested, do let me know. Best way to find out about them, of course, is to subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the newsletter. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate your time today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Have a great day. Bye for now.